Now here, I think I stopped here. We discussed the advantages of branding. And now let's start with the brand wise product. Now, any product that or any offering that satisfies the customer need is an offering or a product. But when value is attached with it and identity is attached with the offering, the service creates its own benchmark. There are certain intangible features or values added to the basic offering. We say the product has is a brand or it's a label. Now the need may not be associated with the physical features most of the time. Here it is associated with the customer perception. So in the market you may find many products, those who will satisfy your need, but there are very few brands, those who have reached the mark of a brand. And with these features of quality, enhanced features, differentiation, maybe on the basis of technology, services, conformance, or quality. So here, these attributes enhance the offering. It raises the standard of that product or offering, and it's termed as a brand. So here the customer correlates with that standardized benchmark. When you just name that brand, when you take the name, or when you have a visual impact, or maybe you visualize the symbol or a text, you associate it with that product or the organization. So product can be copied, replaced, but a brand cannot be replaced. A product may be tangible, but brand has certain intangible features with it. Brand offers some value and is associated with the customer in terms of the customer's perception. Now, the next part is brand equity. Now, Martin Roll has defined brand equity as a combined measure of brand strength consisting of three sets of metrics: customer knowledge about the brand, customer preference for the brand, and resulting financial potential of the brand. So here, what does this Martin Roll has stated? That it's a combined measure, mixed measure of the brand strength, which consists of three sets. Metrics, what is metrics? Measuring scales, we can say. It is the metrics. Your customer knowledge about the brand, that is whether the customer is aware about the brand, its availability, its packages, its features. Okay, that is customer know-how about that particular brand. Customer preference for the brand. Suppose if the tomorrow you visit a retailer and you ask for that offering, and the retailer places some 4 to 5 products in front of you. So here you are inclined, a customer is inclined towards a particular offering. So here when the customer starts preferring a particular product, we say it's a customer preference for a brand. Now what is this resulting financial potential of the brand? When the customer preference for a certain brand increases, it ultimately increases the market share of the company, which results in gaining more return on investments, as well as this brand creates asset for the organizations, asset for the company. Now, brand equity is the added value endowed to products or services. So we say it's an added value, something more. The products or the services get enhanced. They get a special treatment when they enter into this brand equity. They are known for their uniqueness, some differentiation, some special attribute, often reflected in the way the customers see, feel, and act. Now, the brand, who creates the brand? Of course, the customers. Though the efforts are taken by the manufacturers, but it's always from the perception of customers. What do the customers feel? How they look at the brand? What do they do when they purchase the brand? So, in point of view of customer metrics, okay, it's the reflection of that offering. Now, it's an intangible asset for the organization. A brand is an intangible asset for the organization. It is visible in financial books. Now, what do you mean by it is visible in financial books? Specifically, when the organizations take into consideration some strategic decisions, okay, strategic decisions of entering into a joint venture, okay, uh, acquisition, or maybe franchising. During such strategies, the brand plays a very important role. It becomes an intangible asset, and this brand is one of those aspects which can really change the game during such circumstances or during such decision making. Suppose if there are two companies and they are entering into the joint venture, the company with the product portfolio of a well-known brands always has an upper hand as compared to other as compared to the other partner. It is monetary worth of all the attributes the brand carries. So here in monetary terms, now here it's reflected in the monetary terms. That is what it means. Now brand equity. Now these brand assets can be categorized in five groups, four groups: brand awareness, perceived quality, brand association, and brand loyalty. Now, apart from this, the proprietary brand assets like the patents, trademarks, channel relationships, they also are taken into consideration. Now, when we take into consideration the brand awareness, okay, how much aware are the people or the masses about a particular brand, about the usage of the product? It is the ability of potential buyer to recall or to understand that brand is a part of a product category, to which product category it belongs, who to which company it belongs. The customer should be able to identify the firm's product as and when maybe A customer has a look at the brand or the product. Now, it is from the customer's perspective. The customer should believe that particular offering, particular brand represents the A class product or B class product. The continuum of the brand that exists in the market has to be in the customer's mind. The customer should be easily able to recollect the name of the brand and map with the benefits. Now, the contribution of awareness to building up an equity for the brand can be just gauged by the fact that high awareness creates associations in the customer mind. So, this brand awareness is highly correlated to perceived quality as well as brand association. Now, if we take the factor of brand association, now these brands they acquire a meaning, they hold certain implications in the mind of the customers. The customers associate different dimensions of product, including its use and use situations to the brands. So we say it's linked to the memory of the brand. Maybe like it might be a jingle, it might be a catchy color, it might be a statement, a word, wherein the customer should associate these with that particular offering. Now here, these associate brand associations are developed as a result of customers' experience and exposure with and to the brand. Brand association is important for a brand. It helps build brand equity. Now, how does this help? It helps in differentiating the brand from the competitors. When the customer associates, okay, it's able to recognize. So here, these offering has something unique in themselves. It provides certain reason for the customers to buy or reason to buy. It helps in creating the positive attitudes or feelings towards that brand. This association also helps in providing the basis for product line extensions. If we take into consideration the next factor, the perceived quality. Now, usually we associate the brand with the high quality or the premium quality, isn't it? For which the customer is willing to pay a premium price. So here what happens? The performance, the features, they achieve such a unique benchmark by which the customers evaluate different brands on the basis of quality. The firm will have greater trade leverage and channel members would have greater interest in dealings with such brands. So here the intermediaries would like to associate themselves with the brands because there is less effort in promoting the brands when there is a benchmark set. There is no need to promote much or spend much on promotion. Now, here it is important that perceived quality is not necessarily the same as manufacturing quality or product based quality. Perceived quality is how customers evaluate different brands on quality grounds and hence need not be as objective as the others. Now, high perceived quality as bought out by the customers, okay, means higher returns on investments. So here, when I take the name of the brand, the customer can easily associate it with the quality features. Like I had given you an example of the Chinese goods. Usually we say maybe they may have something unique, but as far as the quality is considered, there is question mark. The products are very cheap. The pricing is on a lower end. So again, there is a question on the benchmark of the quality. Similarly, when you just name the brand, somewhere the customer perceives about the pricing. And also with the pricing, they also take into consideration the segment, the masses. Okay, that is other important thing here. Now, the other aspect, very important aspect, is the brand loyalty. Here, for the customers, habit, it's our habit. Some of the offerings we need every now and then. The customer just visits the nearby stores and he purchases. So we are habitual to certain offerings. A customer goes to a shopkeeper or a vendor and asks for a particular offering. But slowly and steadily, he starts evaluating these brands. And at certain point of time, he makes up his mind with reference to the features, price factor, the convenience, the quality, etc. And tries to always evaluate the price, the other features, and maybe he's satisfied with the particular brand. So again, the next time when there is a repeat purchase, he prefers the same brand where he was satisfied somewhere. So this is the strength of the brand, and this motivates the customers to again go for repeat purchase. So it is important for a firm to assess its committed customer base. Now here it depends upon the customers also. The switchers have no role to play here. The loyal customers are an asset for the company. Now somewhere this brand loyalty is also associated with the belief of the customer and the psychological connect of the product with the customers. So here these are some of the points with reference to these four attributes. Brand awareness refers to the strength of presence in the consumer's mind. I have already discussed these points. Consumers prefer instinctively known brand to a new product. So here when the person is aware, he feels a bit comfortable about the offering. Awareness is the presence and commitment of the brand. Similarly, if we take the perceived quality, it is the perception of the consumers about a specific product. It differs from satisfaction. So here, apart from satisfying the need, it means that apart from satisfying the purpose or the need, there is something extra which goes with the product or the offering or the service that somewhere satisfied the customer from the psychological perspective. Now, this brand association is also related to the status symbol of brand asset. Possessing a particular brand becomes a status symbol for the customers. Brand association, as rightly we discussed now, it's linked with the memory, psychological factor. Apart from the basic offering, it is associated with the product attributes, intangible benefits, relative price, use, its applications, celebrity, person, lifestyle, personality, etc. Now here, the loyalty is the attachment that a customer has to a brand. Now, this brand loyalty is very important for the manufacturers as it helps in pushing the product in the market. It reduces the marketing costs. Promotional costs are lower once the product gains the brand loyalty. When the company has more loyal customers, it provides a winning edge from the customer's perspective. The firm enjoys the brand equity phase here. Now here, branding decisions, or one can say these are the challenges also, whether to go for a brand or not. Now, the whether company is responsible for branding a product or whether the customers are responsible, it's a debatable question. But here, most of the time, the company from organization side is always taking efforts to build a brand, maybe through a bundle of marketing mix. It's always tries to enhance this or uplift the offering, maybe considering the price factor, the quality factor, the reach to the customers, etc. Brand sponsor decisions. So whether the product should be sponsored, whether it should be a manufacturer brand, whether it should be an intermediary brand, whether it should have a in-store label or a private label. As far as the brand name decisions are considered, whether it should have an individual name, whether it has to be a blanket family names. Every decision has their own pros and cons here. So here the companies have to think a lot before taking the decisions as far as the brand is considered. Whether separate family names for all the products it should have. Suppose a company is operating, many of the products are operating under a single blanket of family. So if one product fails, okay, then that brand will have effect on the other members of the family also. So many of them they think that individual brand names is a better option. But when you have the family, it also becomes much more simpler when it comes to penetration strategy, penetrating into the market. Many times there is a question of whether the company name should be the brand name for that offering. Now, brand strategy decisions. Here there are 5 options or 5 choices for the organization. The first is the line extensions. Whether to extend the same brand to the new sizes or flavors to the flanker products, or whether to give different names. Brand extensions. Brand names extended to the new product categories. Whether the same brand should be extended to the additional family members in the product portfolio of the organization. Multi brands, more brands. New brand names introduced in the same product category. So here the product category is same, but there are different brands. Multi-brands. Now here brand signifies the segment, and that's why we need to have these brand extensions or multi-brands, because brand somewhere reflects the price and the segment. So always a person is linking these attributes. Now, new brands, that is a new brand name for a new category of product. Every now and then, the company undertakes the innovations. New products come into the market. So here, every time the company comes in with the innovative idea, innovative product, they think of having their different brand name. Now here, one of the reason for adopting such type of strategy is that one brand name will not affect the performance of the other product. That is a simple reason here. Now, now when I say big bazaar, so what comes to your mind? If I say Spencer's or DMart, they have their own set of attributes. A customer links these attributes with these brand names. Today there are many more handsets available. So when I take the name of a brand, you correlate it with the quality, specifically in the techno-savvy world with the techno-savvy products. When I just name the product, you associate it with the quality or technology, to be more precise, and the pricing of the organization. This is about the brand. Now, Amul is one of the company where it has the same brand extended to other categories. While ITC has different products with the different brands. They have their own unique features, unique identity, and unique place. No two brands intermingle here. So the company may be the same, but they may have different brand names. Now, as this chapter is considered. Hello, hello. Okay then. The next part is the price. Now, price is the quantity of payment or compensation given by one party to the another in return for one unit of goods or services. Nothing comes free. So whenever we purchase an offering, in return we give the money to the retailer, to the distributor, isn't it? So it is the money. The term price has its own perspectives. When a person rent out maybe a flat, maybe a vehicle, we say we are giving a rent. That is, we are paying, but the name is rent. Similarly, you have the commissions. Okay, pass on the margins when the dealers, distributors, okay, the company passes on the margin to the dealer and distributor. Again, it is a monetary aspect, but it has its own unique terms. If there is an intermediary or a broker, we say they take the commissions, or agents. We say they take the commissions. So here the price has its own perspectives. If we have a consultant, we say fees charged by a particular consultant. Similarly, if we go to a doctor, we ask for how much is the fees. When we visit a restaurant, we ask for a bill. So here, every now and then there is give and take between the offering and the source. Now, what is the role of this pricing? Now, profit generation. The first and the foremost element. Any person starts a business to gain the profits. They are not there for the social cause, basically. So here they want to gain the revenue, and that's why they enter into the business. So here, from the manufacturer's perspective, they always evaluate between what they are giving and what they are getting. Like from the customer's point of view, they also think about what they are purchasing, what they are getting, the benefits, satisfying the needs by the offering, and in return, what they are giving to the manufacturer or to the intermediary. Price communicates the quality. Now, here it is perceived generally that the high price product have the better quality, or higher price products perform well. Many a times people perceive that when the product is of the high quality, the performance is better, the features are well worked upon, the pricing is very high. Many a times the prices are different according to the features or the advantages they offer. So here indirectly the manufacturer wants to communicate to the customers about the features or the convenience part which the customers would be getting with reference to different brackets of price tags. Price also reflects the type of customers. So whether the price of the product is very high, then we can say the product is meant for a A class segment. That is the it comes into the luxurious category for the A class customers. The price sets a benchmark for categorization of products. A class, B class, C class. So here most of the time this price bifurcates this category of offerings, products or services. The price and sales volume together they decide the revenues. So here, when the price is very high, the company gains profit. When the sales volume increase, the company also gets the profits. There is a more market share, which will increase the revenue of the organization. Now, basically, what are the factors which go into this pricing? Upon what is this pricing based upon? The first and foremost important thing is the management objective of pricing. That is which type of to which type of customers they are catering, whether they are A class, whether they are B class or C class. Now here a manufacturer has to decide what he is offering to which segment, who are the masses who are ready to purchase the product. That is the affordability part. For whom the product is more affordable. Now, the basic objective of pricing is to maximize current profits and return on investment, as well as to exploit the competitive position. The company should be able to survive in the competitive market. The marketing mix also influences the product decision, the price decision. Yeah. Marketing mix, the product itself, that is, what all are the inputs which go into that particular offering, the ingredients, the components, the time taken to manufacture that product. So here, based upon these ingredients, the pricing is decided. If the cost of raw material is too high, then even the finished good would be placed at a higher cost. If there is something, some differentiation made in the product, so differentiation is one of the factor. If there is certain unique convenience factor or a feature which is attached to the offering, then that will have an impact on the pricing factor. The seasonal demand, basically demand is one of the influencing factor, and this demand depends upon the requirement of the customers, the affordability of the customers, the income level of the customers. The demand is again linked to many other factors, like whether it is a generic good, whether it is a convenience good, whether it is a luxury goods, specialty goods, or a shopping goods. So based upon that also pricing is decided. Similarly, the segmentation part, who are the customers, into which category they fall, the product is offered to whom, these all things matter here. The seasonal fluctuations also have impact on the pricing. You see some of the offerings, they are in demand during the specific time frame. So here the company needs to think upon that also. It cannot think of increasing the price. It cannot think of decreasing the price. If it increases the price, there is a possibility of losing the market share to the competitors. If it decreases price, so here there is a possibility of loss of revenues, which otherwise they would have materialized. Then the other factor is the government rules and regulations. Here one cannot think of going beyond this external factor. There is no control on this external factor. Government has set certain marks beyond which the company cannot think of pricing. So that has to be taken into account. The pricing with reference to promotional efforts has to be taken into account. Like the dealers, the distributors, the costing of dealers, distributors, their promotions, the advertising, the sales part, all this influences the pricing. So here when a manufacturer thinks of coming up with a particular pricing strategy, it has to take into account this multiple factors. It cannot take from the perspective of demand only. It has to take into consideration the inputs factor, the marketing mix strategy, the intermediary cost, the type of pricing strategy, the perspective of the top management. So when a company considers all these aspects, then only it can think about a particular pricing strategy. The next part of setting the price and the type of pricing adopted by the organization, we will see in the next session. Today we will stop here. Any doubts as far as the pricing is considered? Hello.